Hey everybody, it's Mr. Haskell, and here I am again with this guy, Andrew Jackson. So this is Things You Should Know by Being Alive. Andrew Jackson. I'm going to try to explore his rise, his presidency, the deep contradictions in his legacy, and, I think we have to recognize his democratic expansions, but also we got to look at the violent policies of his administration as well. So here we go. Andrew Jackson was born in 1767 in the Carolinas to poor Scots-Irish immigrants, and he was orphaned by the age of 14, and he was captured and beaten by British soldiers during the American Revolution. He rose from hardship, and he became a self-made war hero. He was also a lawyer, a judge, and a politician. And by the early 1800s, Jackson had become a household name, thanks to one key moment. And that was the Battle of New Orleans in the War of 1812. Now, he takes a ragtag force, and they basically defeat a seasoned British army. And this victory kind of just like propels him, it launches him into national fame. Now, 1824, Jackson wins the popular vote, but loses the presidency to John Quincy Adams in the House of Representatives. All that was made possible by Henry Clay. Jackson called it the corrupt bargain. 4 years later, in 1828, though, he comes back and wins big. Jackson styled himself as a man of the people, and he was the first president from the frontier, not from Virginia, not from Massachusetts. He wasn't from those elite circles. He was one of the guys. So he begins the process for expanding democracy for white men. But he does go about ending property requirements for voting in many states. But that expansion came at a deep cost for others. So Jackson's going to serve 2 terms as president from 1829 to 1837. His presidency was defined by conflict and transformation. There were some pretty important highlights, like he destroyed the second bank of the United States because he believed it was just corrupt and it favored the elites too much. He used the presidential veto more than all the previous presidents combined, and he really ratcheted up, strengthened the power of the executive branch. He really embraced the idea of a strong, direct presidency. He became a hero to many and a tyrant to others. He also brought with him the spoils system to Washington. Now, he was rewarding political supporters with government jobs, for better or worse. Now, here's where the Jackson legacy becomes deeply painful. In 1830, Jackson pushed for and signed the Indian Removal Act. This forced Native Americans, the Native American nations like the Cherokee, the Creek, the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, the Seminole, it forced all these nations off of their ancestral lands. Now, despite a Supreme Court ruling, it's Worcester v. Georgia. I always pronounce it Worcester. It could be Worcester, too. I'm not sure. But anyway, in this Supreme Court case, it sided with the Cherokee, and Jackson ignored it. What was the result? Well, the Trail of Tears. This brutal forced march west where thousands of Native Americans died of disease and exposure and starvation. This just wasn't controversial. It was a humanitarian crisis. It was a permanent stain and remains so on Jackson's legacy. Now, as far as his final years go, after he left office, Jackson retires to the Hermitage, his estate in Tennessee, where he remained politically active until his death in 1845. His legacy? Hey, to some people, to some historians even, he's a champion of democracy, a voice for the common man, and a founder of the modern Democratic Party. To others, man, he's a symbol of executive overreach, white supremacy, and brutal removal policies. Jackson is both a president on the $20 bill and a figure that many have called to have him removed from it. Now, he reshaped the presidency, he empowered voters, and he caused irreparable harm to Native peoples. Andrew Jackson changed the American presidency and the country forever. But the price of that change was pretty steep. So, like, comment, share, follow, all those things for more things you should know by being alive. Because, hey, understanding Andrew Jackson means seeing how power and populism and policy can collide, for better or for worse. You could also throw in your comments as to whether or not you think Jackson belongs on the 20, because oofta. Anyway, hey, thanks for watching, and I'll make some more later.